Thank you for joining us. And before we get started with today's video, if you guys like what you're seeing and hearing from the Locked On Senators podcast, go ahead and hit like, smash the subscribe button so you can be the first to know about Sens content. Now, we're going to be doing a ton of these prospect profiles, so if you agree this is someone the Sens should look at or steer clear, leave your comment below so we can hear from you. Now, we got 64 of these, so let's get into it.
All right, coming in at number 54 on our NHL Draft rankings here on Locked On Senators, we are going way up to the second tallest draft eligible, a very polarizing prospect to get into from the Drummondville Voyageurs, defenseman Maveric Lamoureux. Your initial impression watching the big man patrol the blue line?
He's not the tallest guy. There's someone taller than
A
him.
6'8" centerman, but
Oh
he's
my-
the tallest on our ranking.
Oh my God. Yeah. Maverick Lamoureux. Like this, watching highlights of him, Ross, it took me exactly 1/2 second to point him out. There he is. Like, especially in the Quebec League where it's a lot more kind of smaller skilled guys. Like it was very obvious where number 13 was and who he was when I started watching highlights for Drummondville. This guy is an absolute beast. Like, and he uses his long frame to break up passes with ease, get a stick in the lane. He has wide gap control, and he is just like, if you're a forward and your coach is saying, yeah, you're going to go up against Lamoureux tonight, you're taking a beating in front of the net. Like Pierre Dorion said about Goodbranson, he's going to cross check a lot of guys in the back, and they're not going to like that. So definitely, he's someone that is going to be doing that. And you know what? For his size, I actually think he's a decent skater. And I read some reports from McKeen's hockey writers, guys like that, kind of agreed with that for a guy who's 6'7", 197 pounds at this young age, he's figured out his skating, and it's not a real detriment to him.
Hawkesbury, stand up. Hawkesbury, Ontario native, and he actually played for the Eastern Ontario Wild, which is in the same AAA loop as Ottawa, the city of Ottawa. So he's got a little experience and knowledge about the city, being close to it. He's a January 13th, 2004 birthday. We already mentioned he stands 6'7", almost 200 pounds. Right shot defenseman, always worth mentioning for that. And not offensively minded, but not offensively adverse either. 24 points in 54 games this season, 69 penalty minutes to go along with it. Bob McKenzie is the lone one of our analysts who have him as a first round talent. Bob McKenzie has him 28th overall. I should mention, though, that the NHL Central Scouting are also very high on him. They have him as the 20th ranked North American skater, although that's down 5 spots from where they had him at the midterm. That to say, Chris Peters has him at 39, Elite Prospects at 61, and then Craig Button all the way down at 71, an honorable mention on Scott Wheeler's list. That puts him at an average of 49.5. Fair to say, a divisive ranking for Maverick Lamoureux.
Yeah, I feel like you can easily see the eye test scouts and the analytical scouts, and I'm surprised Elite Prospects didn't put him as a do not draft.
My NHL amateur scouting source told me that this guy should be nowhere near our top 64. They said if I did a top 164, he shouldn't be on the list. So I think some teams will completely ignore him. There's some question marks about his decision making as a defenseman. But, other scouts are going to see the size and be like, I can turn this guy into the next Chris Pronger.
Yeah, and Sam Constantino, his quote on him was very brief. It was, he will go in the first round based on size alone, period. Like that. That's what he had to say. So I think you're looking at someone, and Ross, I usually don't dip my toes into player comparables, but this is a Logan Stanley type guy, and he went 18th overall, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's some teams that say, yep, we're taking him, because you can't find guys that big. Right?
Can't teach height, Pilsy. Can't teach height.
Can't teach height. That's for damn sure. But he skates well for his size.
Yeah,
and
he does.
I think if you're a team that's looking just to bolster up your size, and a lot of teams heading into the playoffs, that's something they looked at is how can we get more size, more grit on our blue line, or just in our bottom six as well. But he is a very raw prospect. Like his
Raw.
timing and positioning isn't quite there. And when you're a guy of his size, like he's probably just relied on his size to use that stick and reach for so long that once players start catching up to him in size and getting over 6 feet, where it's not like egregious, he's still bigger than them, but they know how to play with guys of his size. They're going to figure out ways around him. His timing for his gap control is a little bit off, so guys are able to sneak past him when he's not quite at the right position. So I feel like if you're going to draft Maverick Lamoureux, you need to have good defensive player development guys in place to help him figure out his game and to help him really kind of fine tune all those aspects that he needs to work on. Like I'm looking, Ross, this is a guy that probably won't scratch the NHL for another 3, maybe even 4 years.
Well, yeah, I'd say even 4 or 5. Like, look at Logan Stanley. He was drafted in 2016. I only know that's the Logan Brown draft as well. And he only just established himself this year as a full-time NHLer.
And a bottom pair guy at that.
Yeah, and here's what really concerns me, though. If you're watching on YouTube, you look in Drummondville, yeah, not a great team. I don't know if it's super cold in Drummondville, but those numbers certainly are in the plus-minus. However, worst on the team. So, plus-minus, again, say what you want about it, but I think it does have more weight when it's compared against your own teammates, because those are the guys. And yes, you can say there's certain situations, guys who are out there defending a lead in the last minute, more likely to give up a goal, 6-on-5, all that. But dash 30 in 60 games to me is a bit of a red flag.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's a red flag, but also mixed with like a green light. Like you got a 6'7" right shot defenseman. So you got to take.
I was just going to say, speaking of big defenseman, Pillsy, I did some crack research here and did play a summer hockey tournament with Matteo Mann, the son of Trent Mann, the Senators director of scouting. Matteo Mann, I believe draft eligible. Don't think he's going to get picked. Maybe a courtesy pick in the 7th round and all that. However, he's 6'8" as well. So those man kids, you know, maybe Trent Mann sees a little bit of his own son in Maverick Lamoureux. However, I'm going with 1.5 stars. I don't think this is the type of project that the Ottawa Senators should be taking on. I think he's a guy who, again, I love the Logan Stanley comparison, but we got the K train. I'm all in on the K train. Yep. I think that it'd be kind of too much of the same thing. And I'm not comparing the two as players in terms of, I think Tyler Clevin brings a lot more of offense to his game. But man, like you just go a different direction. I don't need to see it. If they take him with the Tampa Bay 2nd round pick, sure, he's going to be way off the board. I do not want to see this as the first pick in the 2nd round for the Ottawa Senators.
No, me neither. But Ross, as you can remember with the Logan Stanley draft, we were watching that being like, oh my God, the Sens are totally going to take Logan Stanley. And then they took another Logan.
And they're like, size. From the Windsor Spitfires, Logan, and they both play on the same team. I was like, no!
Yeah, but I mean,
I still ended up saying no.
It probably would have worked out better if they got Logan Stanley in hindsight here. But Ross, I'm not as hard to...
Not a Zach Sanford guy?
No, not a Zach Sanford guy. I'm not as hard on him as you are. I give Maverick Lamoureux 3 stars here because I think he's the type of player that he's got a long way to go, but the Sens have decent development guys in place that can help him out. And when he's ready is when the Senators are going to be needing guys like him to come up, right? Like 3-4 years down the road, they're going to need entry-level contracts to fill out that bottom pair because they're going to be paying so much to their top-end guys. So I actually don't hate this. And Elite Prospects is probably just dying.
They canceled our subscription.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they found our subscription and canceled it. But yeah.
No, here's what I'll say too, and I don't want people to take this the wrong way, but I'm always a little wary drafting out of the Quebec Major Junior League. I lived in Halifax for 2 years. I've seen the game. They've developed good players out of that league. Don't get me wrong, but it's pond hockey. It's literally, there's not as much system as there is. Like I was at the Winnipeg Ice game on Friday, and again, that's 3rd round of the playoffs. It's the best of the best, but that looks like hard-hitting, like playoff-style hockey. And again, it's 3rd round of the playoffs. But when I was in Halifax, man, they had a sick team, and they also went to the playoffs. I got to watch them actually at the university rink because they were, I guess, getting ready for a tournament, or there was something going on at the Metro Center, and I'll still call it the Metro Center. We got some Nova Scotia listeners. We'll get a good kick out of that. But it's just a completely different style of hockey. And I think that maybe you could also argue that his game would fit into a more structured style where guys are coming up the wing more consistently at the same pace, and he can use that stick. But I would just I would just cool the Jets on draft another Q. And that's just a personal preference for me. Not saying French players. I'm not. I'm just saying the Q. And it goes with imports as well. No, I'm just being honest. Like, out of the 3 Canadian Hockey League, I think that I'm sure the numbers would probably reflect that. There's definitely more OHL and WHL players in the NHL than the Quebec League. I'm sure someone will correct me, but I don't think I'm too offside with that.
Seems legit. Yeah.
I don't know. Someone let us know. Someone prove me wrong.